very, very quiet. We're hunting rabbits. No, we are not. No rabbits allowed here except for Cat's lovable Thumper. Love that. I mean, rabbit. You are listening to NH Unscripted. I am your Elmer Fudd lookalike host, Ray Dudley, out of the home once again. We are coming to you from the not-so-overly ostentatious digs of the WKXL studios in Concord. 1450 AM, 103.9 FM, and for you folks down in the Manchester area, 101.9 FM as well. And for those of you who don't know what an AM or an FM is, and you're looking for a URL, it's www.nhtalkradio.com. In the studio with me today is the legend Glynn Cosker. Good morning, my friend.
Legend.
Yes, sir.
I'm world famous, but only in my own world.
Take it while you can.
I will.
Glynn, give me a second. I need to thank my gracious sponsor, Lakes Region Fence out of Guilford. Folks, come on, lrfence.com. What? You're going to be stuffed after Thanksgiving dinner. What else you going to do? We used to just sit around waiting for the Detroit Lions to lose, but they've changed that. So now, look, you got all this time on your hands. Go out to lrfence.com. Scroll around. Dude, they have so many pictures of such great fencing. And it's the holidays to boot. You know, it's kind of like National Lampoon. You're going to get that bonus. Why not buy a fence? Come on, look out. Look out your window. You see your neighbor Joe's fence? Come on, it looks like Godzilla walked all over it. You should be saying to yourself, this Thanksgiving, I'm grateful that my fence doesn't look like that, and it's going to be brand new. You can get a free estimate from those folks. They got a button out there. You go to lrfence.com, press the button. Matt and his group will send you an estimate for a fence. They'll call you back if you give them a ring out there. We love Matt and his group. They do all kinds of fencing, horse corrals, the stuff around your pools. You know, you've seen fences. You know what's going on there. Thank you, Matt. We appreciate you so much. Moving on to Glynn Cosker. Glynn will be attempting his terrible British accent during the show today. So don't mind him. He's working on something. And so
That's right. Method actor here.
There you are.
I'm actually from Brooklyn.
Yeah,
But,
yeah, it sounds it. Yeah.
Yes, and this, but for this particular interview, I'll be from. No, I'm kidding. No, but you're right. I grew up in England, so there's still a little bit of that Britishness about me.
So you're going to put that whole faux thing on here that you're from Britain?
Well, first of all, thank you for pronouncing my name correctly.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
Most people, including a boss I had for 12 years, called me Glenn.
Oh.
Thinking there was an E in my name, and of course it's Glynn, so...
If he had checked your employment application and seen the spelling, you might have known. Hey, I got a present for you.
Oh, a present?
Yes, look it. It's the holidays. The holiday, they're Oreos.
These are the chocolate-covered Oreos with the red and green stripes.
Dude, the budget has expanded.
These are good.
Yeah, they cost me $1.99.
Wow, thank you.
You're welcome.
I didn't get you. Well, here's a Post-it note.
Thank you.
Here you go.
I've been needing one of these.
There.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No problem. I didn't know we were exchanging gifts. Thanks, Ray.
I like to spring that on my guests. Yeah.
You did. I'm not going to eat them during this, though.
Me either. I'm going to hang on to my Post-it note.
I don't want to get crumbs in this nice microphone.
No, it's okay. How are you, Julie?
I'm good. I'm hanging in there. I mean, it's been an interesting year for me.
Year?
Well, yeah. This is the first year that our theater company has actually done some shows. So the theater company being Creative Ambitions Performance Studio. Bit of a mouthful, so we call it CAPS because we're from Washington originally. Well, at least I spent my adult life in the Washington, D.C. area, and we're big Caps fans. Hopefully not infringing on any copyright laws. But, yeah, our theater company...
No.
Our theater company, Caps NH, had its first ever production performed at the Hatbox in March, which was Vanities, which was a great little show. And then we did Educating Rita in August, which I had the pleasure of being in, which was fun because I got to play a stuffy 52-year-old British
So much
person.
unlike yourself.
I know. It was a stretch.
So much unlike
And
yourself.
at home, I just kept, being a method actor, I just stayed in character at home. It drove my wife and family crazy that I would be
I can
this...
see you can't get rid of that British accent.
No,
it just lingers.
It does. It's like, when Daniel Day-Lewis was Lincoln, because I like to compare myself to Daniel Day-Lewis.
Don't we all?
We're like peas in a pod, except I'm the
It's like
outer
looking
shell.
in the mirror.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
yes.
exactly.
No, but no. So, and then we did the play that I wrote, which is called Masked, which is an original play, and it was performed. This is the third time we performed it, so I was excited that we got to do that. So it's been a big year theatrically wise.
You have opened up a fire hose of ideas. I want to just go back a little bit. You mentioned Caps. How did that come about?
Well, my wife Tracy and I have always wanted to run a theater company. And the reason we wanted to start Caps was because, frankly, we wanted to get involved in our own company so that there wouldn't be any BS, which sometimes accompanies...
What?
I know. Did you know that
What?
theaters, sometimes there's like
Cliquish?
a board that's
No.
very cliquish and very...
I had not a clue.
well, it's a scoop.
Oh, yeah.
It's a scoop.
Breaking news.
Your
Did it,
listeners,
did it.
if they know anything about theater, they're going to be astounded by my comments.
I'll
that,
bet.
that there is some egos involved in theater
Glynn
in New
is
Hampshire.
dropping news over the transom as we speak.
So Tracy and I decided, well, if we create our own theater company, then we won't have to deal with that because our mission statement will be no bleep bleep. And that's what we wanted to do. So we got some friends together, some really good friends who are experts in lighting and sound and acting and directing and producing. And we got together and decided to form an LLC. We got everything in place. We had a place leased that had a theater that we were going to put a black box in. We got the chairs in. We got a studio where we were going to teach kids.
Was this locally? Where
This
was
was locally.
Yeah.
It was in Barrington, in New Hampshire. And we did all this stuff. We planned the season. We got the auditions announced, which were going to be in March, but the year was 2020.
Let me think.
Yeah.
Why is that? Something in the back of my mind.
And there's something in the back of my throat. There was. And yeah, so that was our timing, was that we started all of this in December of 2019. We had all the ducks in a row, and then all the ducks got COVID. So unfortunately...
So what, you couldn't restart?
No.
None of
We
it?
actually paid rent on the place. And couldn't do anything. Well, you remember, I mean, the theaters closed down.
Yeah.
Everybody couldn't be within 6 feet of each other, and that doesn't bode well for a new theater company. So we never dismantled the LLC or got rid of any of that. So it was always there. It's just that once that lease expired, we didn't have anywhere to put on a show until this year, when Andrew Pennard and the Hatbox Theater graciously allowed us to put... he put 3 of our shows on his season, on his 20.
Which is, that's incredible.
Season.
You think that 3 shows in one season.
Yeah. It speaks a lot about the Hatbox.
Yeah.
And, they appreciate good talent, good shows. Never seen a bad show at that place.
I know. I like it.
So that's Caps. We are a theater company in New Hampshire. We're part of NHTA.
Just homeless.
Well, yeah, but nomadic, I guess, is a better way of putting that. It's not like we
You say potato.
we don't live in a box outside the theater or anything like that. No, but yeah, we're nomadic, and we're looking for a place to perform in 2024. But we've proved that we can do that, and there's a lot that goes into a production anywhere. We had to get the set for Educating Rita involved. I don't know, maybe 300 books You'd think that might be easy to come by, but these books had to be pre-1981 because the play was set in 1981. So
I didn't think of that.
So we went to an old bookstore and in Northwood, and they were closing down, or at least they were getting rid of a lot of their inventory. So we went in there and we came out with boxes full of books, and that's how we got the set together for Educating Retail.
You hear that music? That means we have to dance our way to a break. Glynn is going to continue with that terrible British accent as we tap dance our way to make some money and pay some bills. You are listening to NH Unscripted. I am your handsome host, Ray Dudley. Happy to be out of bed. We are coming to you from the digs of the WKXL bunkers, deep in the heart of Concord, 1450 AM, 103.9 FM. And for you blessed souls in Manchester, 101.9 FM. And this show, the archives of this show, and all of the other programs can be found at nhtalkradio.com. We're coming back because Glynn and I, he opened the fire hose. We got to do something with the water. Desperado, why don't you come to your senses? It's NH Unscripted. I am your Eagles look-alike host, Ray Dudley. We are coming to you from the Noah's Ark-like digs of the KXL studios in Concord, 1450 AM, 103.9 FM. For the happy, angelic souls in Manchester who just rave about us, by the way, you can find us at 101.9 FM. All of our archives, as well as the other shows here, can be found at nhtalkradio.com. There's also a live button. For those of you who, you don't know what a radio is, you can go out there, click the live button. You'll hear us Wednesdays and Friday mornings, 9 a.m. In studio with me, doing a terrible British accent, is Glynn Cosker, good friend of mine. One of the great things I am so happy and blessed to have this microphone is because I like to know the inner workings of the things that go on behind the shows. And Glynn is gracious enough to fill us in on that. Glynn, I want to jump for a second to Masked.
Sure.
If you don't mind.
Of course.
Okay. Let's open that can of worms, or whatever you want to call it. So it was very personal to you, right? So Glynn wrote a play called Masked. And I went to see, I had to leave at intermission.
Which I haven't forgiven you for.
I'm casting that aside, putting all that on my son's shoulders. But give us the story, the background to that. First of all, okay. What does it take to write a play? Are they always personal? Because go ahead.
Well, yeah, I mean, this one was personal.
Okay.
I've written two since, which aren't as personal, but Masked was. And what does it take? Patience. You hear about, so J.K. Rowling just sat down and wrote Harry Potter in one day on a train or whatever. No. She spent months rewriting it. And anybody who's ever written anything, it's all about the rewrite.
Yeah.
And the first draft of Masked was 4 hours long or something like that. It was like
a
Hamlet.
Marvel's movie.
Right. It was like Hamlet, but not as good as Hamlet. So, yeah, and the personal aspect of it was 2021 was a bad year for me, personally. It started out bad. My dog passed away. Now,
man.
I know that sounds kind of like, I mean, I don't watch movies where I know the dog dies. I can see it. I can see mass slaughter. I can see zombies. I can see all of that. But if the dog dies, I don't watch it. But so I was very attached to my dog. And the way that she died was, I thought that I had played a part because she ate some raisins out of my
That would do it. I hate raisins.
Well, yeah, but they're particularly toxic for dogs.
I did not know that.
Yeah, so I spent a good time thinking, I did this. The veterinarian assured me that it had nothing to do with the raisins, and she just was.
It was the
luck.
knife that did it.
No, it was just the poison.
It wasn't the raisins.
No, it was just bad luck. But anyway, she, and that kind of sent me downwards. And the way I took care of that in my own life was to write, and I wrote the play. Based on what was sort of going on in my own mind. So there is a lot of me in the play.
Mm-hmm.
The central character of Tom, there's a lot of me in Tom's character. He deals with mental health issues. He deals with loss, and he deals with grief, which are things that I've dealt with in my adult life. And the whole purpose of Masked was to write a play that focused on mental health issues and sort of took away the stigma that's often attached to them, as well as promoting suicide prevention and awareness, and also the impact that social media has on teens. There's a central character in the play who's a 14-year-old girl called Bristol, who is fundamentally affected by the pressure of being on social media to the point where it really affects her life. So these are the themes that I put into Masked. And of course, the name Masked is, we're not talking about a physical mask. We're talking about, it's a metaphor for the masks that many people wear to cover their, inner demons or what they're struggling with underneath the mask. There's a few celebrities that have, fall into that category.
A lot.
Yeah, I think Robin Williams is a good example.
Perfect example.
Who was, I think he had lots of battles underneath that mask that everybody loved. So the play was, the first draft I wrote in April of 2021.
Before you go any further, you had mentioned COVID and the stellar shoot-up of caps, followed by the downward trajectory of caps. Was any of that in the background as well? Besides the fact that you're...
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I needed something to do. Creatively.
Yeah. Were you angry?
Was I angry?
Yeah.
Yeah, there was anger in there.
I'll bet, right?
And some of the anger crept into the play. There's a scene in the second act. See, it's a two-act play. The first act is
I didn't see the second act. I don't know if you knew that.
Missed the best part. You saw the first act, which had a cliffhanger.
It did have it, and I'm just
Don't
putting
give away the cliffhanger.
I won't. I'm just putting together now how that came about. I got it.
Yes, there was a cliffhanger, and the second act informs that cliffhanger and talks about, it gets heavy in the second act. So yeah, everything that I was feeling at that time went on the paper for this play. But like I said, the first draft was 200 pages, 4 hours long, and I gave it to my wife to read, and she didn't say anything for about 3 days.
As a good spouses want to do.
And I said, honey, you're not the play? Do you have any feedback? We need milk. So
protecting the marriage at all costs.
Right. Yeah. You look good today. No, what was that you said about some play, whatever? No. So yeah, and the one person that I trust for honest feedback in my life is Tracy. And she gave it to me. And we sat down and we went through it, and she was like, "This doesn't work. This kind of works.
These 200 pages are out."
Yeah. You got the red pen. Like I felt like I was in 8th grade.
Oh, that hurts.
But anyway, at the end of that conversation, after I drove to the beach and spent 4 hours contemplating life,
weeping,
I came back and rewrote it and took all of the feedback. And the second draft was shorter and much more succinct.
A little over 350 pages, I assume.
It was still long.
Okay.
But from there, I just started, I put my pencil down, so to speak, this was April of 2021, and then by June or July, I'd rewritten it, little pieces here and there to make the plot more sort of, it started to have a beginning and a middle and an end and central messages, and all of that stuff started to fall into place where I finally said to myself, okay, I can give this to a theater to look at now. So I emailed it to a lot of theaters in New Hampshire A lot of them.
The second draft? The third?
Where it was in about July of 2021. By that point, it was probably like a fourth or a fifth.
Do you think the first one was probably more like just a stream of consciousness?
Yes.
You just had to, dump.
It definitely was.
Yeah.
It definitely was. And that's why it was so long, because I have a long stream of consciousness, apparently. Like a 4-hour one.
Sitting dormant for years.
Exactly. Yes, there were 2-page monologues in Act 2 that when I look back on it now, I'm like, what was I thinking? Who wants to sit and listen to somebody speak for 10 minutes?
The whole audience would be crying for 4 hours.
I think they would be. They would probably be sticking forks in their legs to make sure they didn't fall asleep. But anyway, I sent it to all these different theaters. I got crickets, mostly. A couple of people came back and said, we'll look at it for next season. But one theater company in particular, Ovation Theater Company in Londonderry, New Hampshire. I got an email from Dan Gore and Meg Gore, who run that theater, and they said, we read the play. We want you to come in and speak to us. And this was October of 2021. And I'm like, yes, please. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. I'll be there in 10 minutes.
Some good news.
Right. And, but we went there. I went there, and I could tell immediately that Dan had read the play from start to finish, because we discussed the characters, we discussed the plot, we discussed the themes, we discussed the message, and he wanted to workshop it. Now, for anybody who doesn't know what that term means in theater, it just means taking an original script and casting some actors to do just that, workshop it, build it, make it into something better than when it started. So Dan cast 7 people in the play, and he began rehearsing it as a workshop, and he would involve me. I would come in and just sort of be a fly on the wall, and that's how the play was developed.
All right, hang on to that thought. We got to take a break while I teach Glynn the proper British accent. He's murdering me here.
I'll do an American one.
Oh, yeah, thanks. Here's your tap shoes. We got to tap our way out to another break. That time is flying by. You are listening to NH Unscripted. I am your escaped from the home host, Ray Dudley. Not getting the mashed bananas today. We are coming to you from the happy digs of the WKXL studios in Concord. And we can be found 1450 AM, 103.9 FM, 101.9 FM in Manchester, and at nhtalkradio.com. Man, where does the time go? We get so much to uncover. We'll be back. We are NH Unscripted. I am Ray Dudley, your ever happy to be out of bed host. We are coming to you from the Taj Mahal-like digs of the WKXL studios in Concord. We can be found at 1450 AM, 103.9 FM, Manchester. Are you listening? 101.9 down there. NHTalkRadio.com for this show live and for all the archives. Go out there in a few minutes. Check it out. Glynn Cosker is... Oh, wait. I'm going to throw out a reference here. Glynn, see if you catch it. This is an oldie song. Checking it out. Here's some of the lyrics. I should have known you bid me farewell. There's a lesson to be learned from this, and I learned it very well.
Oh.
Just going to drop that right there. I'm going to park that right there.
Oh, rubber ball.
Yes, sir.
Whoa,
ding. You are good.
I want more cookies. Yeah. I deserve more cookies for that.
Brain power, baby. Brain power. That is
well
very
done.
good.
Yeah, I like 60s music.
Yeah,
You should have given me 90s lyrics. I would have been like, I know
that's
one 90s
why I can't
song.
do 90s lyrics.
I know one 90s song is Run Around by Blues Traveler. It's the only one I know.
That's even more than I know. I want to talk to you about writing, and in particular this one, but is it not uncomfortable to put down something very personal, and every play is, even if it's not about personal incidents, you wrote it, Is it not uncomfortable to then hand it off and ask somebody, anybody, to take a look at it and edit what you think is a masterpiece?
Yes. It's hard.
That's what I would think.
Yes, it is. But
I'd be heartbroken. I couldn't do it.
It's so important.
I couldn't do it.
It's so important. Luckily for the world, I don't have a huge ego. It's in check, at least. I take, precautions, and my ego never gets the better of me.
Ooh.
I know. It's a dangerous
situation. It is.
But I did hand this off, and Dan Gore became sort of like the Lennon to my McCartney in a way. I wrote the play.
Great.
And and he would send me emails at the end of the day and say, look, this scene with Tom and Julie, the actors are saying it might work better if we do this, if we do that, if they do this, it's not really working for them. And he would suggest some rewrites. I would suggest some rewrites. We would mesh those rewrites together oftentimes. And that's how the play completely changed from when I met Dan and Meg until the premiere, the world premiere, or the first performance was a private performance at Ovation Theatre Company in March of 2022 with this cast. After the workshop, it was 3 months of workshop or 2.5 months of workshop. And
did it resemble the original? I mean, so you put down this original thought, right? And then it starts to morph. And so you can either be very happy with what you have now engineered, or you can be like, oh, man, I only did it because they kept pressuring me. How did you feel when it was done?
That was the beauty of this. I never felt pressured.
Oh.
In that I would agree with Dan and the actors nearly 100% of the time. There were a couple of things where I said, I don't know if I want to change that, but they were minor. So once I got to watch the play, and we had some feedback sheets for the audience members who were mostly family and friends.
Nice,
so
nice.
they filled out some feedback, and there was
anonymously, I hope.
I think it was.
Okay.
But there was one piece of feedback in particular that somebody that 8 people wrote, and I'm trying to remember what it was. Oh, I know what it was. Yeah, there was a segment in the play in the first act that deals with politics a little bit. And the message I got there was it's too long, that one little scene.
Got you.
So I shortened it, and I took the...
They didn't say take it out. They just...
No. Yeah, they just said, it kind of goes on a bit.
Yeah.
And there was other feedback like that. So I would take that. And so after that, the prerequisite of them doing the workshop was that it would then have its world premiere at Ovation in September of 2022.
Where do they perform?
They normally perform out of that
Opera House? Not the Opera
Pinkerton
House.
Academy.
Oh,
School of the
yeah.
Arts. I don't know if I said the right name there, but that's...
It's your attempted British accent that's killing you.
Exactly. I know. And perhaps, you know what, I could switch to something else.
Perfect. Now say Pinkerton.
Pinkerton.
I understood clearly.
The Pinkerton Academy.
Rolls off the tongue.
It does. So that, yeah, but Masked was performed in September of that year, and but prior to that, in the summer of 2022, I sent Masked to a bunch of play festivals in New York City, and one of them picked it up. It won. At least they picked it for their festival out of thousands, which I'm tooting my own horn now.
You should be.
Yeah. Toot.
Good for you.
It was the only full-length play that they selected. The rest of them were one acts. And we got to perform Masked in a special engagement at the Chain Theater in Manhattan.
Wait, so you brought a cast to New York? Or you took actors from New York?
No, we had video auditions. So we gave actors sides. We advertised it on Backstage.com and a couple of other outlets for actors, and we got hundreds of people applying for these roles. Yeah. And we ended up casting 2 people from California, 1 from Oklahoma, a couple from around here in New England, and then 1 from Virginia. Yeah, it was...
What? And you all met up in New York?
Yes, we did, in July of
People
2022.
flew out from California.
Yes. We had 4 days of rehearsals.
I'm gobsmacked.
They learned their lines in miraculous time.
What?
Yeah, and we performed it 7 times in New York City, which was... huge, because I got some bigwigs to come and watch it and give me some feedback. I had the New York Times theater critic there, and I had a couple of Broadway stage managers and a playwright and a dramaturg, and all of these people helped me rewrite it again.
Stop the presses. Hang on right there. So you had play critics from the New York Times, and I don't know, I was blanking out on the rest.
Dramaturg.
Okay. Tell me, you had to be pacing back. I would have been a nervous wreck.
I was kind of like an expectant father, for sure.
Oh
yeah.
God, I couldn't take it.
And these people were very kind and with their feedback, and they came on there were 4 people that came 4 separate times. So I got to speak to each of them after each of the performances.
Ooh, that's worth it.
And it was like I took notes,
Yeah.
on my little nerdy phone with my little nerdy pen. I took notes because I knew I'm never going to get a chance to do this again, probably anytime soon.
Right.
So I took these notes, and the feedback that I got from the New York Times theater writer and the dramaturg in particular, who was New York based as well, was got to do something about the beginning of the first act, which was pretty blunt, but they told me what they would do.
They did.
Yeah. And I did it.
And
it worked. And everybody who saw it the next time or read it the next time said, yeah, why didn't you think of that before?
Was it that obvious to you after they said
yes.
it? It was.
Yes, it was. Yeah. See, that's the thing, right? It's like you get a different set of eyes watching it.
Yeah, when you're too close to it.
So, so then the version that's out there right now is probably the 80th rewrite. But we performed it in September of 22, which was the official world premiere production because it was an actual production. And then the Hatbox Theatre, I pitched it to the Players Ring in Portsmouth first.
Yeah.
Did not get any traction there,
really?
Unfortunately. Yeah, I mean,
well, they like
it's all
a lot
good.
of that kind of stuff.
It's all good. Yeah, and I'm respect for the Players Ring. I mean, everybody, it's a heavy subject, depression and mental health disorder. And...
Have you met the people out there?
I
love the Players Ring. Just kidding.
I don't know. Maybe. Yeah. So, but
get the lawyers. Here we go.
But everything happens for a reason. So I pitched at the Hatbox and Andrew Pennard and his reading committee. And they said, yeah. And so it was performed again in August of this past year.
There again? In the Hatbox again?
At the Hatbox,
okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's been there twice?
No. The first performance was in Londonderry.
Got you.
And then New York. And now this past August, it was at the Hatbox right here in Concord. And we only did 3 shows. And I ended up being on stage only because of a situation involving the lead actress, the lead actor.
I didn't know that. I saw you and I just assumed you were in.
No, she dropped out.
What?
So the role of Claire in the play became the role of Clark.
Oh.
Which I played. And the person who was playing Claire moved up to play the lead role of Julie.
Man, we're putting a thumbtack in that one. We gotta go refill our Moxie mugs. You were listening to NH Unscripted. I am your ever-aging host, Ray Dudley. We are coming to you from the studios of the WKXL Bunkers in Concord, 1450 AM, 103.9 FM, and you happy folks down in Manchester can find us at 101.9 FM. We're also at nhtalkradio.com. Glenn and I are coming back. We got things to finish chatting about. Be right back. Hello, darkness, my old friend. We are back to chat with you again. It is Glynn Cosker across the table from me, Ray Dudley, handsome as ever. I got that one hair combed over. You are listening to NH Unscripted. Yeah, I am your Paul Simon lookalike, Ray Dudley. We are coming to you from the Noah's Ark-like conditions because it's raining out here. The WKXL studios in Concord. Kind of not sure if I like the weather or not, but you didn't tune in for the weather report from me. You can find us at 1450 AM, 103.9 FM. Those are all Concord. 101.9 FM in Manchester, and www.nhtalkradio.com for those who need a URL. Glynn, are we done on that topic?
I think so.
Of Masked?
Yeah.
How many more have you written?
I've written 2.
And?
2 more. The next one is True Crimes.
Any comedies in there?
Well, this one's
getting pretty dark.
This one's got some comedic aspects, and that one's going to go up at the Garrison Players in May.
Ooh,
and
I have seen you, and I think I saw Tracy at something at the Garrison Players.
Yeah, you probably did.
Yeah, I like going out there. It's in the middle of nowhere.
It sure is.
You got to get a parachute and get dropped in.
I think you need a visa, in fact. I'm not sure. I'll check. But
it is out there, baby.
It is. Yeah, renew your passport and come and see.
You live on that area?
We do. We live in Durham. So it's not too far for us.
I guess.
But, we're seacoast people, you know.
So what... you want to tell us what True Crimes is about, or?
Sure, yeah. I mean, it's a murder mystery.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's set in the present. It's set in New Hampshire.
How big a cast?
There's 8. The main actor is a police officer. And I got the idea for the play when I was chatting with one of my really good friends who is a police officer.
You have friends?
I do.
What?
Yeah. Well...
Dang.
Well,
how much you pay
Are we still friends? Yes, we are still friends. So, yes, I do have at least one friend.
Check your contact list.
So I got the idea from him, and it just sort of, again, it took me a year and a half to write, and there were lots of rewrites. We didn't do a workshop this time.
Yeah.
And I think the performance in May will be kind of the workshop in a way. I mean, it's polished, but I'll be sitting there taking some notes.
2 acts?
Yeah, 2-act, comedy, murder mystery, true crimes, easy to remember.
Yeah. Were you hoping to do it at the Hatbox?
I didn't pitch it to the Hatbox.
Okay.
When I first moved up to New Hampshire, Garrison welcomed me as an actor. And
it's that fake British accent. It every time. Yeah.
So I tried out for Death Trap. And, of course, Sidney Brural is quite, he's like very posh and... so I tried out for Death Trap, and Garrison cast me in that. And then I did a few more shows. So I feel like I owe something back to them.
Yeah.
And so it's going to get done at Garrison. And now I'm writing a 3rd play, which I've almost finished. So
you're on a roll here. Do you have a notepad with more ideas of things that you do?
I do. Yeah, and I'm getting to the point now where if I don't write them down immediately on my phone, I will actually, I'm going to do that right now. I need to get my phone. I just had an idea, so let me just...
Working. Yes, that's right. I'm across
There we go.
I'm across from a radio host, and, someone comes in, breaks in, kills us both.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. My next play will feature you as the...
Murder he wrote.
The radio host. Now, it was a lot of fun sharing the stage with you, by the way.
Well, thank you very much.
We had a lot of fun in The Man Who Came to Dinner.
We did. That was at the Majestic.
2019.
Yeah, gosh, time flies.
It does.
Time flies. That was a fun play.
It's probably the most fun I've ever had on stage.
It's crazy.
I mean, I looked forward to coming onto that stage, and anybody who doesn't know the play, the part that I played, he's only on stage for about 15 minutes in the second act. Of course, Ray has every other line in the entire play. I mean, literally like 2,000 lines. He's playing this central character, and I don't know. It just you look like you were having fun as the character.
Ball. It was a ball. I got to tell you a story. I don't know if you knew this, but Pat Delzell, she played that crazy.
Yes,
she came out with
professor.
Yes, correct. Mm-hmm. She comes up to me one day and she says, "Ray, I just want you to know, I'm not going to learn my lines. They're all going to be on these cards right here." And she did it. She had those cards because she brings out like a thing of penguins or whatever, and she had her cards right there and did not learn her lines. Oh, Pat!
Well, you did, my friend. You learned all of those lines, and I saw a production of that play in 2000 where the man playing Sheridan Whiteside didn't bother to learn his lines. He had them in like the candy box on the desk. He was pulling out like little pieces of paper from his sleeve and all kinds of stuff.
Man, I got no room for that.
No, I don't either. You have to learn the lines.
I have no tolerance.
You have to learn the lines.
Yeah, because you can't. If people are going to know you're looking at something.
It's like there's an analogy. Somebody told me in New York. An actor was asked, "How do you learn all those lines?" And he said, "Well, you know how an airline pilot learns how to fly a plane? It's the same, you know, if that airline pilot was only like 50% there, it would crash.
Yeah.
You know. So
it's a great analogy.
Yeah.
And it should crash because that's just lazy.
It is.
Because you and I both know everybody has plenty of time to learn their lines. Everybody. It's not like they sneak it up on you unless, like yourself in your play, you all of a sudden find out something's happened.
It's true.
For the
usually
most
8 weeks.
Yes, right? That's just sheer laziness. So what do you got coming up?
Well,
are you in anything?
I am not coming up. I'm going to be focusing on true crimes and just sort of
fleshing it out.
Yeah,
more,
being a fly on the wall there a little bit, perhaps.
Yeah. Are you going to direct it there? Or
no, Mike Doyle is directing it. Mike Doyle is the director of that play. But he and I are going to get together and just sort of chat about it, you know, playwright and director. And I'm not going to be too involved, but it will be sort of in the periphery. I've still got so many roles on my bucket list, Ray.
What?
I'm just waiting for theaters to do them, you know.
What?
Like what? I am directing next year. I'm directing at Majestic.
Yes, you told me about that. You did.
Yes, Sleuth, which I believe is in June at Majestic in Manchester. And there's a role in that for somebody I know that is
anyone in this room?
Yeah. Let me look around here. It's not that chair.
So you suggested I look at the movie, which I did. I watched the whole thing. It's over 2 hours long.
Yes.
My only concern is, and I don't want to give away the plot here. There's a character who shows up.
Yes.
That if it's not done right, you know exactly.
It was not done right.
Correct.
In 1972, in the movie that you're referring to.
I'm like, I know exactly who that is.
I know, right? You're like, well, he could have changed his voice. Anyway.
Thank you.
No, I know what you're talking about. But, of course, most people know that there's a big twist. But you're right. It has to be done right.
It does. It does.
This play.
Do you have the confidence it can be?
Yeah, I do.
Because it ruins the whole second act
if it's not done right.
Yeah, because you've pulled them out of the fantasy, you know.
Well, Tracy directed this play in 2005, and we cast an actor who was 6'5". Yeah, but he was really good. But I'm not going to give away too much of the plot. It's hard to anyway. But I know. It's a great play. Laurence Olivier played the role in the movie. I think he might have been in the stage play as well. I don't remember, but it is great. It's a great play. It's a 2-person play.
Yeah,
and
he played opposite Michael Caine
in the movie.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah,
he did a great job too. I mean, obviously he's Sir Laurence Olivier, but it was a role I had not expected him to be that. I don't know. I just expected him to be more elderly. He was a younger playing. You know, he was more energetic. He had a lot more energy life in him than I thought.
Well, he would have been about 64 or something when that movie was made, and I think the character he was playing was very sort of bubbly and jovial and pompous and all that.
Pompous for sure.
Yeah, but but that's actually on one of my bucket list roles is to play the part, but I'm directing it, which is second best. You know, I love directing, and
so the good thing about that is it's only 2 people. I mean, it's not like really.
Yeah. I was just in a 2-person show, educating Rita at Hatbox.
How did that go? I didn't get to see that.
It went well.
Yeah?
Oh, it was so much fun. I shared the stage with a lovely lady called Tara Johns, and she was fantastic in the play. Tracy directed it. It was such a success.
Do you believe he left us with that cliffhanger? I had so many more questions once he said his wife directed him. Guess where that was going to go? We are done. You have been listening to NH Unscripted. I am your host, ready to get out of here, Ray Dudley. I got to give Glynn some accent lessons here. I don't know. He grates on me the way he does it. We have been coming to you from the KXL studios in Concord, 1450 AM, 103.9 FM, 101.9 FM in Manchester. NHTalkRadio.com is the URL. Wednesdays and Fridays, 9 a.m. You can listen to us. Goodbye. See you, Glenn. Thank you.
Thank you, Ray.
Yes.